Alright, good morning everyone. So, I have been really good about recording this information, aka I have not, because I did a round of development a week ago, which would have been 6/19, and I did not store that. I also didn't work on Tuesday. I hope you don't mind, but it was my birthday, and I took it off. So, I know that we started working on resource generation, resource systems a little bit. I know I also started working on actual buildings at ports. Very structurally simple kind of concept, but and as always, I'm using about 10 minutes of, yeah, I guess about 10 minutes. 1, 3, 5, 7, yeah. 10 minutes of music by Dren McDonald, who is an amazing musician, sound guy. I believe he's currently working for Facebook, but he was doing this music for this game like 7 years ago when I first concepted it. So anyway, I love this music. I just love the handmade tone to it. I really like hearing texture in things, hearing and feeling and seeing texture. That's it. So what are we gonna do? We haven't worked on this in a week, and we clearly have an error. So we can think about that error, and we can use that as kind of a foundation to build what we want to build next. So again, these streams not intended to be pretty, intended to just be me spending a few hours a week working on like a procedurally generated pirate game. Okay, so we had this error. If resource amount, we need to get we're getting the resource from the island. It is telling me, what is it telling me? There is not a resource there. So, maybe we have some things going on. It might take me a minute to kind of catch up to where I was on this. Okay. So the thing that we were trying to do is check a single resource here. And that resource type is metal. So the first thing that we're doing is we're getting information about that resource from the world. And that is resources.length. So I think we can go to resources. That would start to do it. We can see we have type of metal, wood, and food. We have a similar thing in the resource values, but I'm trying to kind of restructure this so I'm kind of doing things appropriately. So right now we're saying that generate. Let's look at classes resources. how much, so we have regen time, we have the island values that it can generate between, and where are we using this? We are not right now. I don't actually remember what that is equivalent to. I imagine that it's how much minimum and maximum generate. So I'm gonna generate no, because that's tied into a different thing. I don't know what this number is, so we're gonna find out. And I'm gonna rename this as well. So F2 island generation values. Okay. So now let's go back to our game. Oh, gotta save that. Alright, so now let's go back to this. We had 20 to 1,000 for metal, and we can worry about just that, right? 10 to 600 and 5 to 1,000. What do those mean? I don't know. 10 to 600 and 5 to 1,000. So, after that, we do have a regen time that we never set. Metal was never set to anything. Oh, because I think that's just there. So, regen for food is 5. Regen time for wood is 30. Quality. Right now we're kind of getting rid of the idea of quality, so all metal is just going to be metal, because as soon as you put variance in a value, you are now saying that we want to consider that, that's going to be part of a potential decision space. For a system, for a player, anything like that. So I just want to say metal is a thing. I've decided that quality is going to take us down a road that we don't actually care about. So we already have enough systems. In fact, we're probably going to keep, I might get narrower and narrower, hopefully, with some of these systems. So that's the first thing. So we've now done this. We have set those. Next, wood helps us create construction. Metal helps us create weapons. Ooh, but it doesn't... are we gonna have rubies and things like that actually in the world? Or are they a static thing? Or are they a discovery? Food creates supplies. Okay. And then this is maybe where I'm going to set the default values. again, I think probably just gonna want this to be an enum, because I think the cost, weight, and size of one of these things is also gonna become static. And I don't think things like construction are ever gonna vary. And even the conversion of wood to construction is potential. Alright, so. Okay. I'm gonna go back to storage. So right now we have items. It's an array of items. Well, that's fine. Okay. So we're gonna add a bunch of those, and we need to set those according to our class resources, I believe, at the top here. Yes, so we have this stuff. So we have, I'm just gonna drag this briefly over so I can see it, and okay. So metal is going to be weapons, which are 10, 50, and 15. Construction is 5, 50, 25, 25, and supplies are 10, 20, 15. Okay. Alright, let's bring this back over here. We do not have a wealth basic, and we can worry about that later, because we haven't actually been using wealth at all, or generating wealth. So, alright. If the amount of this resource is less than a certain thing, we add 20 of these items. Otherwise we add 30, otherwise we add 50. So, okay. So we should now be able to do this with check metal, wood, and food. And generate building. We are no longer using this because this just has an absurd amount of information that we're passing to it, that it's better to store elsewhere. But we do still want to reference this idea of the blacksmith, the mill, and the butcher. And then in here, this is where we're gonna create building, but we don't need to. What is item type, resource type, int size. Oh, because because building right now is a generic concept. So building is not a specific concept. So creating a new building of building type with storage item resource type. So if we go to this definition, this is what it stores. This is the resource it converts. This is how big it is. Storage. And I think what we'll actually, we should just make a template for these things, right? So then we can just tell it, make a new building type, and we don't have to hand it all of these things every single time. So I think so we're gonna have another one of these, which is going to be only building type and B type of size. I actually did this in my in Seldom Falls. I had this idea where I build kind of a template and then I copy everything over from it. And so I build a generic structure. And I just basically send it a bunch of... I send it a building itself. Which, there's no reason I can't do that here. Template. So then we could just say template dot type. Template dot resource type and template dot size. And template dot conversion amount. Okay. What does size matter in this game? So right now I don't believe we're using this anywhere. We are not. So this is where we can get our world object. But that's not going to be the buildings. It might be the buildings. Are the buildings going to end up being game objects, or they're just going to be smaller? Okay. So I'm sending it to this template. Okay. So we have the blacksmith, the mill, the butcher. And we're missing a semicolon. Okay. Of course, we are also going to need to get the building templates. So, yeah, we're going to really want these to be their own game objects, I think. But we will go ahead and say world objects.get. And we're going to look for a building dot building type dot. Oh, we're going to look for r value dot. Oof. So does that mean we're actually storing the building type inside of the r value? And we are going to convert this to a T. Data structures. Ooh, okay. And we're gonna pass it an array of let's say R. Another thing we're going to want to deal with in the future. Buildings. So right here we have an array of resources. We have an array of buildings called buildings. Okay. Are we still using this anywhere? Find all references. We are. Okay. So resources length. Gonna generate resources dot island generation values dot x dot y. Why are you? Oh, these are floats. Okay. Well, that's fine. And that is now not. And that is now not. Okay. And resources. And still use this. Just here. Okay. Getting rid of that. So now we have resource values, we have buildings, and we're going to have a thing that will store all of our world objects, which eventually our building might be. Alright. First error, buildings type is equal to type. Oh. Okay. Nope, still, did I? Value dot building. Oh, we actually started looking for a building script. I made a building script, okay. So actually, this should be... I say actually a lot, don't I? Resource value, script building. I mean, we're not using this anywhere else, right? Just there, which is an error. So, type. And, okay. Okay. So we have resource value. We have this generator thing that I don't believe we're using right now. This should probably stop erroring out. Create building needs, oh, so we are now going to hand it a building proper, and we're going to send it a size of 1 or a size of 2. This is now going to get sent a building, BLDG, and size, and the building, comma, size. And if this is a single line, well, it's not going to be a single line eventually, so. But if we're going to generate a whole model actually into the game, be this needs to be a mono behavior and not just a class. Mono behavior being a script that can be applied to a game object inside of Unity scene. So a different type of class, a class with just more tools on top of it. Oh. But we never actually set up our building. So here the metal needs the blacksmith, the wood needs the mill, and food generates a butcher. And now we're gonna have 3 of these. The other thing is, when we do something like this, suddenly all of our information is like deep in one particular game object, which can always be a little bit, I can be a little bit wary about that. But, yeah, you know, like this should just be, this is going to be a game object. So let's go ahead and do that. So we already we started building this anyway. So now we're going to go into find our port, go into our building script, resource item type, string name. Don't know if it needs a string name, but size, occupancy max, storage, conversion amount. We are no longer using this. Building. Okay. So now that we've done that, we need to break this out. And we do even have this idea of a structure. Excuse me. Pardon me. All right. So next up, so we have this idea of a structure, and our structure is kind of looks like our the dock that I was making, based on the way it's rotated, etc. Gonna go ahead and add the script building. And I'll probably put the art into a child object. So let's go ahead and open this up. Duplicate that. There we go. And the model is going to have all those attributes. This is going to have none of that, but it will have the script building. And so now if we drag this in, that has that there, which has the model on it. And this should be 0. 0, 0, 0. Zero all that stuff out. Scale these things all up to 1. We're eventually going to build some little models of structures. Not yet, though. And let's see what our ship looks like. Okay. So our building should probably be bigger than that, but I'm going to, let's say 5, 5, 5. There's a building. 2. All right. Okay. Getting closer. So this building should maybe actually just be default building, model scale, 2, 3, 5, 3. Okay. Yeah, so then our port can have an array. We have this array of buildings. And so what we probably want is a maximum array of all the possible buildings. And we will restrict our islands to just one of each building. So, and then, yeah. So we can maybe build an array of the maximum size of the port. So we're gonna go ahead and open the prefab, delete this structure. No. Structures. Okay. Now we have building. And then we have in our world this is now going to be an array of these objects. So I will if I drag another building into the thing, I think we need to set the default there to 1, 0, 0 all these out, and 1, 1, 1. And open prefab and set this to 2, 5, 2. So, the way that I structured this in Seldom Falls, which I actually think worked pretty well, is I make these prefabs and then I make all these different variants. And then these become specific copies that also become prefabs, but they all have, you know, basically they're the different possible types. So buildings. So this would be, I'll just go building. Butcher. Building. Blacksmith. Building. Mill. And we'll just leave it for that for now. Variant. Is that a new thing? Prefab variant. It doesn't represent the prefab variant itself. When a prefab variant is opened, and this is what I'm reading right now. If you were to select the germ slime target, the root appears as a prefab instance with the blue prefab. The base. Any edits you make to the prefab variant become overrides to this base that exists in the variant. Okay. Okay, well, I might have to do some more reading on that. This is a new thing, although clearly it's not a new thing. It's been around for a couple years, but I have not used prefab variants before. So. But it seems reasonable. So, blacksmith is of a different object type. Edit script. Script world. Go to. Let's go to this. Null ship island port. Building. Buildings. I know I set these elsewhere. Okay, well, let's start to. It's also a building. say, these are buildings. So the blacksmith is a blacksmith. Resource type is metal, and item type is weapon. And I wrote all these values down somewhere. This is really why we're doing this, so I can kind of make this a little bit cleaner and don't have to necessarily look through everything everywhere all the time. Also, when you're editing a thing only once a week, it's actually even maybe more key or more challenging to keep track of all that stuff. So, like if we look here, oh, looks like it's starting to rain. All right. Where did I store those values? Oh, I think it was here. Oh, yep. This was the conversion value. 512. So blacksmith needed 5. Needed 5. And then storage is how much it actually has. Not really doing occupancy yet with people. Still haven't really gotten to that at any stage. So push 2. Mill was 1. Mill is a mill, it takes wood, and it puts construction stuff. Butcher is a butcher, it takes food, and it makes supplies. So those are my very first numbers that I just decided to come up with. So. Okay. Cool. So now I've got those building variants, and I can delete this. Our world can have an array of actually going to script world object, and we are going to have a script world object, and no. We are going to return a script building. convert. Oh, so now resource value needs a script building. Cannot convert from script building to resource type. No, this is right. It's just public script building, get building type, world objects. Cannot convert from script building to building. Oh. Script building. And now we're finally, and then getting to the end of this particular task, which is to build actual structures. So we now need the create building, which when we create the world, we create all possible buildings now. Not that many if you think we have 8 to 15 ports, and each port has 3 to 10 structures, right? So at most we're talking about 150 game objects, so not too many. But this is I think we're gonna have a script building, and count is 0. Let's find our from Shift Alt 12. Self. Does it continue? So, if this building is not active, otherwise, here we are. Okay, dependency there. We'll get rid of that. So next up, what are we doing? We have our building script, we have our building which we make it and generate. But this is making a new script building. I think what we actually want is a setup. So, but the first thing we were trying to do right now was we started doing that already. No, we started doing that as we were in it. Init is being called on a particular time, not actually when we created the game object. So create all buildings. Create all buildings. Buildings equals new script building. And then we're simply just gonna create less than buildings dot length I plus plus instantiate buildings I dot is equal to instantiate world objects dot buildings 0. So everything's just going to start as whatever the very first object in the array is. And then we're going to buildings I dot game object dot set active to false. Okay, so now we've created all our buildings. We've instantiated one. We should set the parent to, well, vector 3 dot 0, comma, quaternion dot identity, comma, this dot game object. Actually, just transform. Although I think I wanted to actually have a public transform called ling parent, sure. Buildings parent. That's going to be that child object. Okay. now we're creating structures. And we don't need to generate a new building. We have buildings already. So this should probably be a pool, even, right? Pool of game object. Game object, script building. Then we are saying buildings dot setup of that and 10 and buildings parent. And then if it's only 2 lines long, that to no, I'll leave it there. We might still want to. That will probably expand at some point, but who knows? Maybe not. So now what we're gonna have some issues here. Buildings dot length. Okay. So we're gonna say script building new building equals buildings dot get object from pool. And then new building. Say new building dot setup or init. Building in size. We don't have a reference to this. Because this is actually going to be a public void init. Just resetting storage, conversion amount. We're just setting all these values. And then what we'll want to do. this is gonna take a script. Building as well. Cool. So then the next thing, potentially the last thing, is needs placement. Is less than buildings are dot length plus we are going to buildings dot r I dot transform dot position equals actually local position equals vector 3.0. Okay, I think we're getting close. But let's see if we have any errors. No, those are not runtime error, or those are not compiler errors, just runtime. So we just need our 3 different buildings: blacksmith, butcher, and mill, and our resources. And, oh, so our port now needs a building parent. So we're going to go ahead and drag one of these in. And structures is the building parent. Okay. All right. Alright, well that's wrong. What do you do? Building is a new pool of game objects. Building setup. Alright, what is up? Highest listen buildings are on length. So here is the first question. If we go into a port and open it up and structures, yep, we should have. Alright. So we totally have that thing. And it's way bigger than it should be. Yeah. But it is in the right location. It's less than that. Alright, what did I do for int I is equal to 0? I is less than the buildings. I plus plus. Object reference not set to and okay, if we unpause it. So I think one of our ports is doing this. Yep, you do not have any structures. Why did the last one not generate structures? But all the rest of you did. Okay. So something happened with our very last port. Meaning maybe... Alright, world objects. Set up ships, set up islands, port setup. Oh, I think that's why. Yeah. So this needs to be ports.r.length. I think. Cool. Okay. Definitely some size things that need to be figured out. Oh, that's why. That is definitely why. Because we have a, it's because our structure object is not regularly scaled. So we actually need, we're gonna go into this. What we need is this is our platform. This is not going to have any of these, and our structure is going to be one. Then this is going to be 8, and 1. Yep. There we go. So now we have a structures object. Yeah, kind of parent object, and the platform exists on that. That's better. So now we can add the various other structures to this. Okay. All right, if we zoom in here, we zoom into that thing. Now we see a structure. And then this is now we add a little bit of an offset to each of these structures. Okay. You can see how much they should move. So, by like a random value of 5, and then maybe a random y value of 0 to 2, right? Up by 2, or so between -5 and 2 and 3. And now we are not using this anywhere, right? Nope. So I am going to get rid of this thing. building dot transform dot translate by vector new vector 3, and that is going to random dot range of negative 3f 3f comma y of 0.522, and the same thing there. And I'm gonna come up with a better thing there next time, but this should give us some, we should get a better sense of each structure in our map. And I guess I should finish that line. Okay, let's maximize this and travel around the world. Of course, the next thing too, right, is moving that out, but now we can see there's a little bit over there. So there's 2 structures there. What about our other ports? Yeah, look at that. 3 structures there. We have all 3. I know, it's very exciting, but as soon as you add like art, oh my god, it'll look really cool. So let's find another island or 2 and just kind of look. Here we go. So this also has all 3. So what do we have? So we have green, kind of, I love that. The way we have kind of green with this like really protective cluster right here. That's so cool. Because it just kind of generates, and you can imagine how this would potentially, how that could fold. I mean, who knows if this round is fun, but you know, we have just like that one purple by itself. We have yellow, green kind of dominant. One structure there, 2 structures. 1, 2, 3, all 3. So we keep finding all of them. Let's see if we can find one that doesn't have all of them. That's got all 3 as well. And what about you? There's all 3. So our values are probably set a little wrong because every single one of these has all 3. And we can, you know, see that a little bit more if we, switch to our port view, expand this, yeah, so you can see there we have 3, here we have 3, so if we have any without 3, they're very rare. scale of things a little not there yet. Visually at least. Unclear about gameplay-wise. Alright, I mean, that's probably going to do it for me. I feel like we added something, you know, again, another visual representation of what I've been kind of conceptualizing in the back. We'll see what happens next week. I should be back on Tuesday for another round of some streaming of Risky Reef. So, thanks for hanging out.